Hello and welcome back to our series on the life and legacy of Alexander the Great. Today, we're shifting our focus from the dusty, sun-scorched battlefields to the vast, uncharted waters of the Indian Ocean. While Alexander was leading his army through the deadly Gedrosian Desert, a parallel story of survival, discovery, and incredible courage was unfolding at sea. This is the story of his admiral Nearchus, and one of the greatest voyages of exploration in ancient history. In the late summer of 325 BCE, as Alexander prepared for the brutal march back to Persia, he gave a monumental task to his childhood friend and most trusted naval commander, Nearchus of Crete. Nearchus was to take the massive fleet, painstakingly built on the rivers of India, and sail it west. His mission? To chart the unknown coastline from the mouth of the Indus River all the way to the Persian Gulf. This wasn't just about getting ships home. It was a mission of scientific discovery, strategic reconnaissance, and the first step in forging a sea link between India and the heart of Alexander's new empire. The fleet Nearchus commanded was a serious operation. It was a mix of powerful warships, like triremes, and a host of transport vessels. The crews were a diverse bunch, veterans of the sea from Phoenicia, Cyprus, Egypt, and Greece, all backed by a contingent of tough Macedonian marines. Nearchus himself was the perfect man for the job, loyal, intelligent, and a cautious planner. He knew they'd be sailing into the unknown, largely having to survive on what they could find. He checked every ship, rationed every supply, and prepared his men for the ordeal to come. But even the best-laid plans can be delayed by Mother Nature. The fleet was stuck at the mouth of the Indus for weeks, waiting for the powerful southwest monsoon winds to die down. Sailing against them would have been suicide. Finally, in late September or early October, the winds shifted. With a mix of excitement and trepidation, Nearchus gave the order to sail. The Greeks had heard all sorts of terrifying tales about this ocean of monstrous creatures and hostile shores. The journey was on. The first leg of their voyage, along the coast of the people they called the Orete, was manageable. But the challenge of finding fresh water and food was constant, a daily struggle for survival. As they pushed westward, they reached the coastline of Gedrosia, the same desolate, unforgiving land where Alexander's army was, at that very moment, suffering unimaginable horrors. For Nearchus's fleet, the view from the sea was just as bleak. The coast was barren, with few safe places to anchor, almost no fresh water, and very few people from whom they could get supplies. Hunger and thirst became constant companions for the sailors. It was here they encountered some of the ocean's wonders. According to Nearchus's own account, later recorded by the historian Arrian, they sailed into a massive school of whales. The crews, who had never seen creatures so enormous, were terrified. But Nearchus showed his cool-headed leadership. He ordered his ships to charge straight at the whales, with trumpets blaring and sailors shouting. The incredible noise worked. The startled whales dived deep and swam away, leaving the fleet unharmed. Along this desolate coast, they also met tribes the Greeks called the Ichthyophaги, or fish-eaters. These people lived a primitive existence, surviving almost entirely on seafood, wearing animal skins, and using basic tools. It was a glimpse into a world utterly alien to the Greeks. Throughout this ordeal, Nearchus was the anchor that held everything together. He kept discipline strong, carefully rationed their dwindling supplies, and never stopped searching for a safe harbor or a freshwater spring. He was also meticulously charting everything, every bay, every river mouth, every island. His plan was to meet up with Alexander's army at pre-arranged spots along the coast, where supply depots were supposed to be waiting. But because Alexander's own march was a catastrophe, those rendezvous points were empty. The supply depots never materialized. Nearchus and his men were completely on their own. After what must have felt like an eternity, about 80 agonizing days at sea, they finally cleared the dreaded Gedrosian coast and reached the more fertile region of Carmania. It was like sailing from a nightmare into a dream. Here, the land was green. They found safe harbors, plenty of food and fresh water, and more established communities. And it was in Carmania that Nearchus finally heard news. A rumor reached them. Alexander's army, or what was left of it, was somewhere nearby, inland. Leaving his fleet safely anchored, Nearchus took a small group and journeyed into the interior to find his king. The reunion was one of the most emotional moments of the entire campaign. Alexander and his officers, having heard nothing from the fleet for months, had given them up for lost. They were sure Nearchus and his entire command had been swallowed by the sea. When this small group of men, sunburnt, emaciated, and ragged from their journey, appeared, they were almost unrecognizable. But once they were identified, the camp erupted in celebration. Alexander himself reportedly wept with joy, famously declaring that the safe return of Nearchus meant more to him than the conquest of all Asia. Nearchus recounted his incredible journey, the discoveries made, the hardships faced. In turn, he learned of the true horror Alexander's men had endured in the desert. The success of the voyage was a stunning achievement. It was a triumph of leadership, of seamanship, and of sheer human endurance. Critically, it proved that a sea route between India and Mesopotamia existed, a discovery with enormous potential for trade and military strategy. Nearchus was celebrated as a hero and rewarded handsomely by a grateful Alexander. But the journey wasn't over just yet. After the fleet was rested and resupplied, Nearchus was given his final orders: continue the voyage up the Persian Gulf to the mouth of the Euphrates River, where they would finally rejoin the main army. This last leg of the journey was far less dangerous, but it completed the comprehensive exploration of the sea route. Nearchus's voyage remains one of the greatest feats of ancient maritime exploration. It opened up the world, connecting cultures and economies in a way that Alexander had always envisioned. It was a vital chapter in Alexander's grand story, a testament to the idea that courage and curiosity can conquer even the most formidable unknowns. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into a lesser-known, but incredibly important, part of Alexander's story. If you did, please hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more episodes. See you next time.